Hello, I'm Anika from Made to Sew. In this video, we're going to be looking at how to remove the side dart in the Made to Sew Aria pattern, adding it to the center front, creating more drape in the neckline. This same process can be applied if you want to make a cowl neck of your own. So why might you want to remove the dart in the Aria pattern? If you're working with a lightweight drapey fabric, or perhaps a jersey or knit, you might want to remove that dart and add more drape into your neck. Looking at this example, I have used exactly the same fabric, just in a different color. This is a viscose crepe. On the left, I have the original Aria pattern with the side darts. On the right, the side darts are gone and there is more drape in the neck. The only time this doesn't really work is with a stable fabric that doesn't have much drape, perhaps a cotton or a linen. If you were to remove the darts and add them to the center front in that fabric, you might find that there is a little bit too much fabric at the center front neck and it flops around and doesn't hang nicely. Just something to consider when you're working with your fabric. Now I've traced out the front of my Aria pattern. For this tutorial, I've put it into card because it's clear for you to see, but I'm guessing you'll be working with paper, and I've just cut my pattern off at the waist. But again, you can do this adjustment with the long pattern, whatever length of dress or top you want to make is fine. What we're going to be doing is moving the darts to the center front. That is how we're going to be closing this dart and adding more volume and drape onto that center front neckline. The first step is to connect your dart legs to the bust apex. Draw lines from each of the dart legs onto the bust apex. Draw a line from the bust apex to the center front. This line must be 90 degrees to the center front. Taking a pair of scissors, cut along one of the dart legs to the bust apex. It does not matter which leg you cut down. Then cut from the center front along the newly drawn horizontal line to the bust apex. Leave a small amount of paper attached at the bust apex so that you can pivot your paper, closing your dart and adding a dart into that center front. Tape the dart closed. If you wish to complete a full bust adjustment, do that prior to following along with this tutorial. Once the dart is closed, you will see that a small dart has opened at the center front. Next, draw a new center front line. We're going to continue the center front line from below the new dart opening. So from the hem of your pattern, we're going to continue that center front line straight up. And you'll see that we're adding some amount to the neckline. And of course, the larger the darts you have here at the center front, the larger the amount you're going to be adding. And you can see the difference between the original neckline and the new neckline. Depending on the amount of drape that you want in the neckline and the fabric that you're using, you might choose to not fully close your side dart. And of course, the amount you close your side dart will dictate how much you add to your center front dart and therefore how much extra fabric is gained at the center front neck. The next step is to draw a new horizontal line because this fold line is now off. The fold line needs to be at a right angle to your center front and it needs to connect to the same shoulder point. It might be a good idea to draw on the stitching line for your shoulders. Measure in 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch from the edge. The stitching line of the shoulders is also marked on the original pattern. Taking the ruler, find a horizontal line from the center front that meets where the stitching line of the shoulder meets the fold line. Extend the fold line all the way to the edge of the pattern. This becomes the new fold line. And you will see, as well as gaining volume for the neckline, we have also lowered the neckline. So the neck will be slightly lower when it drapes on the body. The final step is that we're going to need to redraw the facing. The facing for the with sleeves and sleeveless version needs to be an exact copy of what happens in the pattern below the fold line. So we're going to need to fold the pattern along the fold line and redraw our facing. By folding the pattern along the fold line, you can clearly see that the facing does not match up with the shape of the body of the garments. This part would be my facing, and if I turn it over, Of course, this is my garment and this is my facing. I would recommend drawing the facing that you want onto the front of your garment. Copy the same size of the facing that I used in the original pattern. Along the neckline from the fold line to the bottom of the facing is approximately 11 centimetres, 4 inches and 3/8. Under the arm, the facing measures approximately 7 centimetres, 3 inches. Be sure to have a nice flat section for your facing where it joins at the centre front for at least 2 centimetres, 3/4 of an inch. The same for under the arm. The rest of the facing can be a curved shape that you can freehand or draw with your French curve. This blue line is the sleeveless facing. The with sleeves facing does not go as far as the end of the shoulder so that it doesn't affect the sleeve. Measure from where the stitching line of the shoulder joins the fold line along about 3 centimetres, 1 inch and 1/4. Again, square off the start of the facing and again reconnect into the bottom of the facing with a curve shape. Fold the pattern along the fold line and either trace off or use your tracing wheel to record the finish edge of the sleeveless facing, the edge of the pattern, so the centre front, the side seam, the armhole, the shoulder, the stitching line for the shoulder, and also the facing for the with sleeves version. These lines all include seam allowances. Open the pattern back up along the fold line and draw out what you've traced. The centre front, the edge of the facing for the sleeveless version, the side seam, the armhole, the new shoulder shape and the stitching line of the shoulder, as well as the new with sleeves facing edge. To finish, we're going to need to complete favouring around the armhole of the facing. This is so that the facing is not visible from the front of the garment. Remove 2 millimetres, 1/16 of an inch, just around the armhole for the facing. Cut out the new pattern piece and you're ready to go and try this out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more sewing tips.